43 and 44. Yes, sir. Here's the Capt. VP-114 or 141.
I hope you can hear me. If you can't hear me, get a little bit closer. But it's my pleasure to visit. I was flight owner in your squadron back in 1943.
Wow.
It was commissioned in Alameda, California, and we were flying Vega Ventura PV-1s. They had two ARC 2800 engines. We had Pepper turrets, 50 caliber we shot, 450 calibers forward, and we had a Stinger 50 calibers. It was a real fighting machine. We dropped a lot of bombs. Our first strike was in the Gilbert Islands. It was Tarawa, and this was in November of 1943. And we bombed them good. And the 2nd Marine Division took it in 3 days. The 2nd Marine Division had 4,000 troops, and they had 3,200 casualties in 3 days, killed and wounded. After that atoll was secured, the Seabees fixed the runway so we could land and take off, and we struck against a real tough island called Nauru, and north in the Marshalls, Macon, Kwajalein, and Roina Moore. We struck those, softened them up for the invasion. After the Marshalls were invaded Kwajalein, they moved us up to Roina Moore, which was on the northern atoll of Kwajalein, and it was still our mission for bombing. We bombed Japanese shipping and islands and strafed. It's interesting how over the years it has changed missions and changed insignias. I recently visited VP-4 in the Marine Corps Air Station in Kaneohe. And the only reason I got there was because of Steve. I never met Steve before in my life. He called me to see if I could come to this reunion last spring. And I said, well, I got a daughter and a granddaughter and a great-grandson living over on the west side of the island. And they said, you going over there now? And I said, yeah. I was getting a space available flight out of NAS, Fort Worth, they call it the JRB, Joint Reserve Base. And there was a 737 going from Fort Worth all the way to Hickam. All the way to Hickam without refueling. I've got what you call neuropathy. It's a nerve problem. But anyway, my wife Jeanette and I, incidentally, this is Jackie and Paul. Definitely, Paul drove me down here today. We belong to the Rice County Veterans Group, which we serve in Rice County. We built a Veterans Park, and we do a lot of things. We have a 5K every spring to make money for it. Paul was a commander of the Rice County Stand up. Oh. Turn around. I want to show you all the ships he served on.
Wow.
I gave him that for a Christmas present.
I don't see a seaplane dinner in there.
He and I are both old battleship sailors also.
Yeah, he's battleship.
He was on, I know he's,
My first ship was the USS Oklahoma.
Wow.
Sit up, Paul. It's true. My first ship was the USS Oklahoma, and it was with the Pacific Fleet in Long Beach, California, San Pedro, Long Beach, and President Roosevelt sent the Pacific Fleet west. Back to Steve. He called his friend in the VP-4 and said that I was going to be on a lot. And they made arrangements for me to come over. And this Lieutenant J.G. was a driver. Oh, incidentally, I said, where do you live? He said, I live on the beach in Kaneohe with 2 other guys. And I said, I'm interested, how much do you pay for rent? He says, $3,000 a month. But there are 3 naval aviators paying $3,000 a month. And I said, what is your rental allowance? He said, $2,100. So those guys are getting $6,300 a month, and they're only paying $3,000.
Sweet.
And they've got maid service, and they've got a perfect thing going all the time.
Good work if you can get
Nobody
it.
gets any sleep.
Yep. Some things never change. Exactly. Yep.
When we drove into Kaneohe, going east, that road was so familiar because we used to stage in and out of Kaneohe.